Hi everyone, welcome to the video. I just wanted to give, I guess, a bit more in-depth into the build. Hopefully some of you actually downloaded it now. It's been released for, I don't know, what, maybe a week now or more. Yeah, so hopefully some of you got it installed. So obviously, jump on the Discord, give us some feedback, let us know what you think. Anything missing, anything wrong, or any suggestions for add-on packs. I'm hoping, like I said before, to keep this current, keep it up to date. As RetroBat gets updated, we'll look to update this as well. Add any more systems that get added, or any games that you think should be in a best of collection. So yeah, get on Discord, let us know what you think. But yeah, I just wanted to run through a few things, a bit more in depth. There's been a few questions on Discord, sort of queries, so try and answer some of those and just give you a bit more of a look, I guess, into the actual build itself. So yeah, as I said before, it covers every single system supported by RetroBat. Obviously, as I said, there are 3 systems which kind of deliberately left out some of the pinball systems. So Pinball FX, the original one, Pinball FX2, and Pinball M. Partly because we already have Pinball FX3, a nice big set for that, working really well. And there's Future Pinball, Visual Pinball, the Zachariah Pinball. So there's quite a lot of pinball already. And the other reason was it's very difficult to try and find sets for those other ones as well. So yeah, that's pretty much why I left them out. But so I haven't kind of given up on that. I'm still trying to sort of find those, and if we find them, we'll get them working in the build and release those as an add-on pack, so people can add those, and I can finally officially say it supports every single system. So yeah, not giving up on that. So yeah, apart from that, like I said before, yeah, all systems. You can see on the screen there, it's just over 18,500 games. So still a good selection, even though it is a best of and a curated collection. Because I much prefer having games I'm actually going to play, games that are good and games that work, rather than having I like some people, and I've done it in the past, had a complete set for every single system. And half those games you're never going to play, but I guess it's part of it is the collecting, and you can say to yourself, I've got a full set, I'm happy that I've got a full set there, which is fine, I guess, for the earlier systems that are not particularly big. But when you get onto disc-based systems, things like PlayStation, for example, and PS2, if you start getting full sets of those, you're into terabytes of data. So, and trying to have a build that's like terabytes and terabytes, some people do that. Some people have large hard drives and large can do that, but not the average person probably doesn't. It's kind of where this build came from, like I say, the best of collection. So just to go through this, some of the things we've done, I guess, not non-standard, but to get things working. So some of the older like home computer systems. So if we go down to something like I know a good sample is the Archimedes. Actually, while we're on that one out of the box, following the guide from RetroBat on their wiki, just couldn't get it to work. It just wouldn't load. Would just keep freezing up. So in the end, this is now done as a custom system. Basically, got a separate standalone emulator for it, and it runs, with a little quick batch file to launch it, which obviously, works in the background to you guys. It makes no difference, but it's now working. So that's one we had to customize and do specially. Anyone interested in that can probably have a look at the config files and see what we did. But things like I say, like the BBC Micro, as you can see, it's purely keyboard. And most of the games are just keyboard input. So for that we had to, out of the box again, didn't appear to work properly, as in the controls were, none of the controls were working. So some of the things we had to do is create some custom config for those, and it's the same thing that an average user can do. I'm just going to quickly show you here as an example. There's a few systems like this, like these keyboard-based type systems. So if we just hit enter to go into the main menu. And then you've got game settings. If we go right down to the bottom of the list, there is per system advanced settings, or configuration, sorry. So this is where you can change settings for that particular system. Obviously you can do them per game if you really want to as well, but if you're going to customize something, I'd start at the system level. So basically means these settings you change in here are for every game under that system. So BBC Micro, as you can see, all the games all the systems are listed here. I'm going to BBC Micro. You can do things like the default is auto, and what in reality that means in RetroBat world is that you've got a list of different emulators to use. Auto is normally the top one, so it means for BBC Micro we use the main core inside RetroArch, which is what the libretro stands for. The libretro cores within RetroArch, and then the second option is to use a standalone MAME emulator. So when it says auto, it's generally the top thing in the list is what auto is going to do for you. You can think things like shader sets. So auto, I believe, is going to be none, but you can change all this if you want to. Decorations, a whole different bunch of they call them decorations, but it's basically the bezels. We have it set to bezel project at the moment. So what I was going to show you is if you scroll down this list, anything that says auto or is just listed, with nothing underneath it, means it's the default, it's the standard. We haven't changed it. Ones like this where you've got controls and see it's telling you underneath, these are the things that we've changed. So if you wanted to change it back, you can obviously go in and turn them off. But if you look, there's it's pretty much those settings we've changed. And the keyboard focus one, if we go into there, this is the key one that we've changed for some of these keyboard-based home computer systems. As it says there, so by default, RetroArch has a whole bunch of keyboard shortcuts that you can press to do different things. I think like spacebar is to fast forward. There's another button to go full screen. And so if you're trying to use a keyboard-based system like BBC Micro, when you press these buttons, it's going to do weird things, or RetroArch is going to do its bit, and it's not actually going to send that key to the emulator. So for these, what we've done is turn keyboard focus on. We'll just go into it. You've got so auto would set it to off, so the default would be off, but we forced it to on. So basically means that turn off any shortcuts that RetroArch wants to do and just give the full keyboard directly to the emulator. So any key you press on your physical keyboard is going to go through to the virtual the emulator and your virtual BBC Micro keyboard. It does say that you can toggle on and off with the screen lock key if you want to, so you can do that dynamically on the fly. So that's one thing we've changed, and that works really well. And with BBC Micro, this one particularly, we changed the joysticks to analog joysticks, just because that seemed to work quite well. The default was none, but if there are any games that you can use the joystick with, hopefully that's going to work with them. And then if I go back, the last thing that we've changed is there's a pad to key profile. So anyone that's not used pad to key before, it does what it says on the tin really. It's utility where if you've got a emulated system like this that's just expecting keyboard inputs, you can map a button or multiple buttons on your controller, on your gamepad, to a button on the keyboard. So when you press the green button, the A button, whatever on your controller, that could hit spacebar. So you basically map them across. So if I go into here, so some of these systems we've just done some basic keyboard mappings. So when you do the D-pad up and down, left and right on the physical controller, it sends up, down, left, right cursor keys on the keyboard, and then the buttons, your A, B, X, and Y, or depending on which controller you've got. As a generic term here for each the 4 buttons on your controller are the north, south, east, and west. They just hit numeric 1, 2, 3, 4 on the keyboard, and like I say, you can basically map anything you want to, or everything. Some where we've manually done the hotkeys, Alt F4. So normally by default in RetroBat, when you want to close an emulator, you hit Start and Select, or Select and Start, or whatever your hotkey and Start is, to basically exit the emulator and go back to the RetroBat menu. Sometimes if it doesn't work, what we've done here is just put another combination in, which does the same thing. So Alt F4 when you hit the hotkey and Start, and within Windows, for those that don't know, Alt F4 is basically a keyboard shortcut to close the current window. And obviously in this case it's going to be the emulator. So what this basically does is just in case the normal hotkey and Start doesn't exit the emulator for any reason, and that can happen when you're using a third-party emulator or custom emulator, custom config. We've just put a mapping in. So if you hit hotkey and Start, it's going to send Alt F4 on the keyboard, which closes the current window and will turn you back to RetroBat. Sorry. So that's all that's really in it. It's quite a basic pad to key configuration, but obviously you can go in and change if you want to. And if you've got a system emulating a computer system that's expecting a mouse, you can emulate the mouse cursor with your analog stick on your controller. You can turn that on if you need to. So that's a handy thing to know. But like I said, we've created a few of these pad to key configurations for various systems that need them. And if you go through the systems, you'll see what we've changed from default, because they'll be listed underneath the various sections. But like I say, there's a few more that have got those kind of settings, but I won't go through all of them. I'm just going to show this one as an example. Yeah, so that's that one. That's the kind of the controls, I guess. And I think I mentioned it on the other videos before. If you not sure what the controls are for a specific system, the RetroBat wiki is really good. So yeah, you do a quick search for RetroBat wiki. It's off their main site as a wiki, and under there it lists every single system, and next to it what the controls are. So that's quite handy. I won't go through it again. I think I've covered it on the other videos, so that's something to bear in mind. The other thing while we're in here is around the themes. So the current default theme is this one, the Hypermax theme. Obviously this is quite a popular theme, but it hasn't been updated for a little while. So what we've done here is basically update it to cover some of the missing systems. So especially like things like the Karaoke, where they've added new systems in RetroBat. Obviously, the themes need to be updated, to have the artwork for the particular systems, and Hypermax didn't have that, so we've added a whole bunch in here. And again, as I think I mentioned on my other, I went through adding all the artwork, and then realised there was someone else, guy called Scotty Retro. He's wasn't on YouTube, and some other places as well. So check him out. He does a load of artwork and themes, and he's currently doing some builds as well. So yeah, check him out if you can find him. He's shout out to him. He was doing the same thing. He was updating this theme as well, because I think it's quite a popular theme. So I kind of integrate some of the stuff he did, and there's still a few more missing systems what I've added in. So yeah, so all in all, the idea is that the themes we provide with it cover every single system. And I know by default, what RetroBat will do is try and group some systems together. So if you go into the menu and go into the game collection settings, you've got grouped systems, and I always set that to none, so everything's an individual item on the wheel. But what you can do is, like Amiga, you can group them all together. So there'll be like one entry on the wheel for Amiga, and all the games are then bundled together in a group. But I much prefer to have them all separated out. So MESS is a good example. So MESS is obviously the part of MAME that emulates a lot of sort of home computer and arcade systems. Console systems. So you can group those together. So you'll have one item on the wheel here called MESS, and underneath it you'll have all these different games in these different systems. So they'll be listed. They'll say brackets Atom, for example, after them, or brackets Atom, to show which system they're actually from. But it'll group them all together, and so there's quite a few in there. But I haven't done that. So in order to do that, in order to ungroup everything, you need to make sure you've got art for every single system, which is what we've done. So if I just show that, so if you look into the user interface settings, and then you've got the theme set, you'll notice there's the Artflix one, where it's got the Pix M at the end of the name, so the Pixel Nostalgia, that shows we've customized it. So again, the Artflix one is another popular, nice looking theme, and we've added it and updated it to make sure it covers every single system. Same for Carbon. So this is the default here. This is the default one that comes with emulation station. So we kind of left that there. I had cleared it out, but I think the latest update, 6.2.1, has probably put it back. But anyway, so that's a standard one. And then obviously these three here with the Pixen on are the ones that we've supplied and customized to make sure they cover every single system, because you'll probably find if you go into updates and downloads, you can go into themes here, and you'll see a whole bunch of themes which look great. So that one there, not updated since 2022. There's a few more here that this year that should be fine. But some of these old ones, you might find that if like the look of them, you download them, but they might have some missing artwork for some of the newer systems. So yeah, also you can go through and feel free to check out some more themes. There's loads on here. Some very nice looking ones. But like I say, we've kind of stuck to the ones that we like and made sure that they cover every single system. Obviously, if you find any issues, let us know. We'll update them, but they should cover every single system. So yeah, that's kind of it for the themes. The other kind of queries I've got around the actual pack itself. So where you've got the base pack, obviously the base pack is quite big, but the base pack doesn't include any ROMs. So I think in the base pack, it's just over 100 gigs in it. So, but it's RetroBat itself. It's the themes. It's all the emulators. So you need to at least install that first, and then if you do that without any ROMs and you try to launch it, I can't remember what it does. It's when it's got no systems, it either doesn't load at all, or your wheel will just be blank. There'll be nothing here at all, and that's because all the ROMs are in the ROM pack. So you need to at least put one in, or extract one for it to actually have something to display. Because by default, we've got it set to only show systems that ROMs exist for. So that's one to watch out for. And like I said, I was just going to say on the actual base build. So here's looking in tree size. You can see obviously if you look at the whole build, about 1.4 terabytes. The majority of that is the ROMs. That's 1.2, nearly 1.3 gig. But if you look at actually the base build is all this other stuff put together, and you can see the big one is emulators. It's 125 gig, so it is pretty big. And the reason for that is purely down to the PS Vita. Because if I expand this, if I sort by size, you can see that the Vita 3K emulator is nearly 73 gig in size, and that's purely because that particular emulator stores all the game files in with the emulator. So if you were kind of a bit strapped for space, obviously you need to install the base pack first, but you can come and delete this folder, this Vita 3K. Unless you want the Vita, obviously keep it. But if you're looking to kind of reduce the size of the base image, you can basically delete the Vita 3K, because that's you can see here when looking at the sizes. So here's all the games. Each game's a couple of gig. So here's all the game content, and like I say, all that lot kind of adds up to around 72 gig. So that's the reason for the base being quite big. I think if we'd done it again, maybe Vita 3K would have packaged separately and had it as an option to drop in. It would have made the base quite smaller, but it is what it is. So yeah, that's just to be aware of. You want to save some space. Sort by name again. Just watch out for that PS Vita one. I think that was all I wanted to cover. Actually, the other thing that has come up is around the time it takes to extract, and like I say, with the installer, obviously all it's really doing for you is taking the especially for the base pack, taking that RetroBat zip file or 7-zip file and basically extracting it into its destination. So that all that time taken is just reading and extracting. So if you've got everything on the same drive, so if you downloaded the zip files in folder on your C drive, and when you go through the installer, you're unpacking it to C RetroBat, that's going to slow it down a fair bit, because if you think about it, it's reading and writing to the same drive simultaneously. Unless you've got superfast SSD or NVMe RAM drive, then it's going to be a bit slow. It's probably much better to have all the downloads on one drive and extract them or install to a second drive. That way you're reading from one while you're writing to the other, and it can hopefully go a lot quicker. So yeah, it does take time, just purely because of the size, and then like I say, for the ROMs as well, they're quite big. So, but we try to do everything we could. So put them into separate zip files and only use standard compression. We haven't used ultra high compression, which would take longer to unpack. More work for your CPU to do the extraction. So it's only standard compression. So hopefully not too bad. And it is a one-off exercise, so bear with it. It will take a little while. And the other thing was around that installer. Kind of had the question that if I come along and I run the installer and I install to extract RetroBat, and then I've got some ROM files which I extract, then later on, if I then download some more ROM packs and put them into the ROM packs file and run the installer again, the first thing it does is prompt me to extract RetroBat again. All you need to do there is just pick the same drive letter that you've already picked last time, and what it will do, it will say, oh, I've already found RetroBat there, do you want to overwrite it? You just say no. It will then skip on to the ROM packs and then go through and ask you whether you want to do all of them or just some of them, and then you just run through. So and obviously you can extract these manually. You don't have to use the setup utility. You can just for each ROM file you can just double click the 7-zip file, open it, and then extract it into the ROMs folder manually if you really want to. We just try to make it a bit easier with the setup utility. So I just want to think, is there anything else? Actually, yeah, I just want to touch on the torrents. So as you're probably aware, there is two. There's a public one and a private one. They're both identical. The content is exactly the same. It's just that one's obviously public, and you get to it via magnet link. Obviously, look on Discord to get that link. There's also one on backups. If you access the backups, then you know what that is. If you don't, then have a look on my Discord server under the How to Download channel, and there's details how to get access to it. I would probably say that that's the preferred route. It's probably going to be more seeds and better performance downloading from there. But it was done. We did public and private, basically to give everyone the best chance of getting hold of it. But yeah, I'd say the one on backups should be quicker to download. Should be. But yeah, so check that out if you need to. And on that, just so when it was released, like I say, but just over a week ago, there was initially an issue with the very first version of the torrent, which we, within a day we found that and replaced it, uploaded a new torrent. So just in case you're sat there and you've been downloading for over a week, and it's now paused or stalled, it may be that you've got the original torrent, which is why it's not completing, and why no people seeding that one anymore. So all you need to do is go into your torrent client. And remove that torrent from the list. Make sure you don't tick the option or choose the option to delete the data, because obviously you already downloaded some, you don't want to waste that, you want to keep it. And what you do is basically then make sure you get the updated magnet link, or go to backups and download the latest torrent there, re-add it into your torrent client, making sure that the destination where it saves to is the same as before. And what it'll do, it'll see the stuff that's already there and go, I've already got all that, I'm not going to download it again, and it'll basically pick up where it left off. So yeah, just basically remove it, re-add it, you won't lose any data, and it'll pick up where it left off, and then hopefully you'll be able to download to completion and get running with the build. So yeah, like I say, just want to give a bit more detail and answer some of the questions that have come up on Discord. So I mean, I've seen lots of people joining Discord, which is great. Not so much chat at the moment. There's a few people asking some questions, but I'd love more people to get involved and just give you feedback and see what you think about the build, even if you think it's rubbish. Say that, and can answer any questions or queries, or if anyone's having any issues, just let us know on Discord. There is also a Facebook group for people that don't or haven't used Discord. But I mean, Discord is generally, I think, easier to use for me. So for that chat, it's definitely for those that don't know about it, it's pretty much just a chat platform where you can go in and chat, and then within the server you create different channels for different topics. So we've got general chat one, we've got one around, I mean actually I can probably bring it up quickly now. So if you can see that, okay, here, this is obviously you can do it on a web browser in your phone. This is on a PC, an actual app, but you can see here's the I'm in a few different servers, as you can see. So here's the main one. Here's how to download, there's how to join backups, etc. Gives you links to public and private torrents, etc. But there's a general chat here around, so you can say hello. The YouTube one basically is an automated one which auto posts whenever a new video goes up, which this one should be going up fairly soon. So have a look through there. You might see something of interest. There's obviously, I'm not just RetroBat, I do some other bits and pieces, and other people have put some stuff in as well. So yeah, goes back quite a bit as well. Obviously RetroX is what I use on my phone on Android. It's really good, sort of all-in-one front end with built-in emulators for Android. So if you want to, if you've got less technical knowledge and you just want something that you just literally add some games to and up and running, you can use that. And also you can use the games from this collection. Yeah, there's general support one in here if people are asking questions. There's someone asking about some of the themes around Karaoke Party, etc. And then there's a separate chat down here about different bits and pieces, and dedicated channels to RetroX, RetroBat and Batasura. So at the moment kind of focus on RetroBat. That's what this build is based on, but what I'm going to try and look to do next is look at Batasura, because obviously they both use emulation station and they're very similar, and a large percentage of their systems are, they run both systems, if that makes sense. For Mega Drive, for example, they both run Mega Drive, and the ROM pack folder is identical, so you can basically take the ROM pack from this build, the one build, and drop it into RetroBat Batasura install, and it'll work. So I'm just kind of what I'm doing at the moment is kind of mapping across which systems are unique to RetroBat, which ones are unique to Batasura, and then working out which ones are unique for Batasura, hopefully pull those together, release those as a Batasera add-on pack, if you like. Then the idea being is that you can take all the ROMs, the majority of the ROM packs out of the RetroBat ones, which will give you a list off to say, okay, all these ones are compatible with Batasera, grab all these, plus this Batasera add-on pack, chuck all those into your Batasera thing, and then you'll cover every single system supported by Batasera. So, and then going forward after that, I'm looking to use this ROM set, the collection of ROM sets, to build out a launch box build as well. So the idea being, you have a single source of all your ROMs for all the various systems, and then you can add them into multiple front ends depending on your preference or what system you're using. Like for myself, I have RetroBat on my main PC for playing games, etc. But then I've also got a dedicated mini PC hooked up to the TV that's running Batasera, just because it's easier to get up and running. It's not a separate Windows instance to manage and update. Just Batasera runs standalone, its own operating system, and it just runs and works. So yeah, the idea using this whole set for multiple front ends, and just have a single source of ROMs. And then obviously beyond that as well, there's also RetroArch. I've done a whole bunch of videos in the past on RetroArch, setting them up, and on things like the Xbox and other platforms. And the idea being, we can again use this ROM set here, certainly for the cores that exist in RetroArch. And again, like I say, we've got all the systems. You've got the one supported by RetroBat, one supported by Batasera, one supported by RetroArch. And they all differ slightly, and they might have different naming conventions for the same system, but they in theory you can use all the same games for the same systems. And that's what I'm trying to get to, that point where, depending on what you want to use as your front end, you can come grab the collection and then use it on that particular front end, and it should all just work. So yeah, I think that's kind of it now. I think hopefully we've covered everything. Yeah, so watch out for those future videos. If you haven't already, please subscribe. You'll get notifications of when new videos are released. I'm trying to sort of make them quite consistent and constant. Like I say, this is another look through the build, but what I might do after this is just go into some detail of some of the more I guess more tricky to set up systems. If anyone wants information how we've done it, trying to do your own build, maybe you'll just grab some ROMs from this collection and you're doing your own set, which is fine. The idea is sharing this openly and freely, that people can do what they want with it. So look out for those. And the last thing mentioned was just around the Karaoke system. So obviously Karaoke was a new system added recently into RetroBat, so we've added it here. I've only added 4 songs so far, and that's purely as a just to show it working, so you can play with it. And what I have, there is a little hidden secret, well, not secret, but a little Easter egg. So if you look from your build, once you've got it extracted inside RetroBat, look in the ROMs folder, and then find Karaoke. And you notice we've got the songs here. So each song is made up of an MP3 for the music, and CDG, which is basically the video on screen with the lyrics, plays those together, so you can actually do karaoke. If you look under this extras folder in here, there's a torrent file, and what that torrent file is a complete listing, or a massive pack of around nearly, I think it's 80 gig worth of songs. So there's hundreds of songs in there, all broken down into alphabetical order, or alphabetical packs. There's an A pack, a B pack, C pack, and you can go through the torrent and looking down at the whole lot, or you can pick and choose which ones you want. But basically, there's a little extra for you there, so that if you karaoke is your thing and you want to add a whole bunch more songs into here, like I say, I've only got 4. You can do that. Danny Boy was a free one. I found a website which gave you some free examples. So we've got Danny Boy, classic Irish song there, and then obviously once I found that other pack, there's a couple of AC/DC ones, just because they were obviously AC/DC, I like them, but they were A, so they were near the top of the list, and I recognised them, so I grabbed them. But like I say, to add some more, you literally just add the MP3 and the I don't know what it's called. Yeah, the CDG file. Add those two in. Obviously, name them the same, apart from the extension. Drop them in there, and they should appear. Obviously, I created some images, some writing for each one, just so they look nice on the list. So if you add some more, you'll need to create these yourselves. And this is just going into Paint, using a tool to go and create create the text with a transparent background. If you don't, they still appear in the list, but they'll have the standard white font. So you can see that's kind of what it looks like, just with a transparent background. And then the image and thumb are just generic. We just use the same one for every single song, so it just kind of shows up here. And then obviously the background as well, as you see in the background there. You can set your own background per song, but because Karaoke is slightly different, it's not really a game, is it? So we just use generic artwork for each one. So that, yeah, I think that was it. Like I say, everything else is all in it. Everything's pretty standard. The only other thing is a couple of systems, like I say, we had to kind of modify to get them working, because for some reason they wouldn't work out of the box with the RetroBat recommended config. So like Archimedes just wouldn't work until I did it, custom. The 3D, not the 3DS, the NES 3D Sen, which also you haven't seen before, basically changes your NES games gives them a 3D effect. You can see, you can kind of see there from the screenshots, it kind of gives them that 3D effect. Not sure that either actually got a little video snap, which would have been handy, wouldn't it? But anyway, it basically turns them into 3D, which is quite cool. But again, this is one of those systems where it wasn't purely portable. So I mean, the idea of RetroBat is it's portable. Everything's self-contained in a RetroBat folder. You pick up, move it to a USB drive or another system, and just play and work. But with this emulator, by default, it puts some stuff into your Windows profile path. So what we had to do with that was basically repackage it up, repackage the executable for it, and inject those files into the package. Does that make, don't really have to follow it, but that's, anyone interested, that's what we did. Repackage the executable along with the kind of profile information along with it. So now when it launches, everything's self-contained in the emulator folder, so you can move it between systems. So yeah, that's one we kind of had to fiddle around with, and took a little while. And one of the things with this emulator is when you basically have to tell it where the ROM is for every single game individually, and they've got some big config files, which one of the things that are held inside inside the Windows profile, there's like a config file which says the ROM for this game is here, the ROM for this game is here. So I had to go through and do all those manually, but that's all done now, so for your pleasure. So that's another one which was, I guess, a little that stands out. But yeah, I think a lot of the others are all fairly straightforward. So yeah, anything else comes up, I'll obviously do a quick video on that. But like I said, what I'll probably move on to now is doing some particular sort of install guides for particular systems, or config for each particular system. But hopefully, when you've got this system, a lot of it's done for you. You should be able to just pick up and run with it. And yeah, just on those missing pinball games, like I say, we've got Pinball FX 3, got 100 tables in here. So a lot of the tables for Pinball FX 1 and 2 and Pim M, I guess, were probably quite similar. And like I said, we've got a whole bunch of pinball systems, so that's why we took the decision, rather than take any longer to try and find them and get it sorted. We wanted to get the build released, because obviously doing this build taken a long time, a lot of effort. A long time anyway, and a lot of time and effort to get to this point. So rather than delaying it anymore, trying to find these couple of missing systems, we thought we'd go for it. But just purely because there were just more pinball systems that we already had. But yeah, like I said, I haven't given up on that. We will we'll carry on. So yeah, hopefully, let us know what you think of the build, how you're getting on with it. I guess the only thing quickly to note is, obviously, you can see here like the tiles look a little bit jagged, and pay no attention to that. That's purely because I've got it running in a window to make it easy to record the video. Once you're running this full screen, that'll be nice and smooth. It's just because they're kind of squished in a bit, they've gone a bit blocky, so don't pay attention to that. Once you use it for real full screen, it will look very nice. So yeah, okay, I'm gonna leave it there. I rambled on long enough. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the build. Let us know on Discord. Please like and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.